Welcome to a new Sleep Dive episode.
Yeah.
This time, we're diving deep into The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni.
Okay.
And we're going to try to help you memorize it in a unique way while you sleep.
That's right. We're tapping into the power of delta brainwave learning.
Oh.
It's that state of deep sleep where your brain is most receptive to new information.
Okay.
And we're going to use that to our advantage.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But how does sleep learning actually work?
Well, think of your brain like a sponge.
Okay.
When you're in deep sleep, that sponge is at its most absorbent. By introducing information in a specific way during this phase, we can potentially enhance memory retention.
So we're essentially sneaking in some learning while we snooze.
Yeah.
I like it. But how do we make sure the information actually sticks?
That's where memory palaces come in.
Okay.
They're powerful mnemonic techniques used for centuries to memorize vast amounts of information.
Memory palaces sounds a bit like something out of Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. It's all about creating a vivid mental map. A place you know well, and then associating information with specific locations within that map. And in this case, we're going to build our memory palace on the Las Vegas Strip.
Vegas, baby. That sounds way more exciting than my usual mental walk around my childhood home.
Right.
So walk me through this. How do we build a memory palace on the Las Vegas Strip?
First, get comfortable. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Imagine yourself stepping off a plane. The desert heat washing over you. You're in Las Vegas, ready for an adventure.
Eyes closed, deep breaths. I can feel the desert sun already.
All right.
What's next?
Now we're going to take the big bus tour. The red route. To create a path with 50 distinct locations, or loci as they're called in memory palace lingo.
50 loci. That sounds like a lot to remember.
Don't worry. We'll break it down. Think of it like a scavenger hunt. Each stop on our tour will be a place to store a piece of information from the book. Right.
And we'll add in a few multi-loci techniques along the way.
Multi-loci. What's that?
It's like creating smaller memory palaces within our larger one.
Oh, yeah?
Imagine, for instance, the MGM Grand. It's not just one spot. It's a massive complex with the casino floor, the restaurants, the pool area.
Right.
Each of these becomes its own loci, expanding our capacity to store information.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. We're creating this detailed mental map of the Las Vegas Strip, with all its landmarks, each one a potential storage space for information.
Precisely. And the more vivid you make these locations, the easier it will be to recall the information. Don't just see the MGM Grand. We'll place those images at each stop along our tour.
So it's like creating a bizarre art installation all along the Las Vegas Strip, each piece representing a different dysfunction.
Exactly. We'll make them outrageous, memorable, even a bit absurd. The weirder the better when it comes to memory palaces.
All right, I'm ready to start building.
What's
our first stop on this memory-packed tour?
Let's begin at stop #1. The iconic MGM Grand.
The MGM Grand.
Imagine yourself standing there, the sun glinting off the giant gold lion statue.
I can picture it. What's the first dysfunction we're tackling, and how do we represent it at the MGM Grand?
The first dysfunction Lencioni highlights is the absence of trust. And to represent that picture, a giant poker chip cracked right down the middle is melting on the scorching pavement in front of the MGM Grand. It's melting like an ice cube in the desert sun, the plastic dripping and pooling around your feet.
A melting poker chip. I like it. Trust crumbling under pressure. That's a powerful image.
And don't just see it.
Hear the sizzle of the melting plastic. Smell that acrid chemical odor. Feel the heat radiating off the pavement. The more senses you engage, the stronger the memory will be.
Got it. The absence of trust, a melting poker chip at the MGM Grand. I won't forget that. What's next on our Vegas Memory Palace tour?
Now we hop back on the bus and head north on the Strip. Our next stop. Stop. #2.
Stop #2.
Takes us to the vibrant energy of Resorts World.
Resorts World, got it.
Yeah.
I can practically hear the music and smell the street food.
Okay.
So what dysfunction are we tackling here, and what kind of crazy image are we putting in this bustling scene?
Here we're dealing with the second dysfunction.
Okay.
The fear of conflict.
Fear of conflict, okay.
And to represent that, I want you to picture this.
Okay.
A group of Elvis impersonators,
okay,
all decked out in their sequin jumpsuits,
okay,
are frozen in fear at the base of the high roller.
Elvis impersonators afraid of heights.
Okay, that's definitely memorable.
But I'm a bit lost on the connection to fear of conflict.
Think about it. They're all about keeping up appearances, staying in character.
Okay.
They're afraid to voice their true opinions, to rock the boat, to have a real honest debate.
Right.
Just like a team that avoids conflict. They'd rather stay stuck on the ground playing it safe than risk the ups and downs of a genuine exchange of ideas.
Ah, I see. They're afraid to break out of their comfort zones, even if it means missing out on the view from the top.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And I'm guessing we're going to add some sensory details here, too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Imagine hearing the faint creaking of the Ferris wheel as it rotates.
Okay.
The distant screams of thrilled riders. Feel the warm breeze whipping through the promenade.
Okay.
Maybe you even catch a whiff of those giant cinnamon rolls they sell nearby.
Okay, got it. Fear of conflict, frozen Elvis impersonators at the base of the high roller.
Boy.
What's our next stop?
We continue our journey north on the strip.
Okay.
And our next stop is stop, #3.
Stop, #3.
The Stratosphere Tower. It's known for its thrilling rides and panoramic views.
Okay.
Imagine yourself stepping out onto the observation deck.
Okay.
Feeling the wind whipping around you.
Okay.
Hundreds of feet above the ground.
The Stratosphere with that crazy insanity ride that dangles you over the edge. I'm getting butterflies just thinking about it. So what dysfunction are we tackling here, and what kind of mind-bending image are we placing at this dizzying height?
At the Stratosphere, we're tackling lack of commitment.
Okay.
The third dysfunction.
All right.
And to illustrate that picture, the insanity ride is loaded with passengers, but it's not moving.
What?
It's suspended over the edge of the tower, swaying gently in the wind.
Whoa, a stuck insanity ride. Now that's truly terrifying, but how does a malfunctioning thrill ride represent a lack of commitment?
Think about it. They're all strapped and ready to go.
Right.
But the ride just won't launch.
Okay.
They're stuck in a state of limbo, unable to move forward. Just like a team that can't make a decision, can't commit to a plan.
Right.
They're paralyzed by indecision and end up going nowhere.
Wow, that's a powerful analogy. So the stuck ride is a metaphor for that feeling of being stuck in a project, a relationship, or even in life because of a lack of commitment.
Exactly. And remember, engage those senses.
Right.
Feel the wind whipping around you as you dangle precariously over the edge.
Right.
Hear the groans of the frustrated riders, eager to experience the thrill but stuck in this frustrating standstill.
Yeah.
Maybe even taste the metallic tang of fear in the air.
Okay, got it. Lack of commitment, a stuck insanity ride at the Stratosphere. Definitely a visual that will stick with me. Where are we headed to next?
Let's journey back in time for our next stop.
Okay.
We're heading downtown to stop, #4.
Stop, #4.
The Mob Museum.
Okay.
A fascinating place that chronicles the history of organized crime in Vegas.
The Mob Museum. I love a good dose of history, and Vegas has quite the colorful past. So what dysfunction are we unpacking here, and what kind of shady scene are we setting in this museum?
At the Mob Museum, we're shining a light on the fourth dysfunction.
Okay.
Avoidance of accountability.
Avoidance of accountability.
To represent this, imagine yourself in a dimly lit exhibit.
Okay.
Surrounded by black and white photos of notorious gangsters. You see a poker table set up cards scattered across the green felt piles of cash stacked high.
Okay.
But there's no one at the table. The players have vanished.
Okay.
Leaving behind a trail of unfinished business.
Okay.
And unanswered questions.
A deserted poker game with no one to claim the winnings or take responsibility for the losses. That's a pretty clear picture of avoiding accountability.
Yeah.
But how can I make this image even more memorable?
Imagine you can hear the faint echo of voices arguing.
Okay.
Accusations being thrown around before everyone disappeared. You can smell the stale cigar smoke lingering in the air. A reminder of the shadowy figures who once occupied this space.
Okay.
You might even feel a shiver run down your spine.
Okay.
Sensing the weight of unspoken truths.
Yeah.
And the consequences of actions left unchecked.
Okay, I've got chills. Avoidance of accountability, a deserted poker game at the Mob Museum. That's an image that will definitely stay with me. What's our final stop on this leg of our Memory Palace tour?
For our final stop, we're heading south on Las Vegas Boulevard to a landmark that needs no introduction.
Okay.
Stop. #5.
The Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign.
The Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. A classic photo op for any Vegas visitor.
Right.
So what dysfunction are we highlighting here?
At this iconic sign,
Okay.
we're illuminating the fifth and final dysfunction.
Okay.
The inattention to results.
Inattention to results. Okay.
To illustrate that,
Okay.
I want you to envision this.
Okay.
The entire Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign is ablaze with an overwhelming, blinding display of neon.
Okay.
There are flashing lights.
Spinning wheels of color and dancing neon figures.
Okay.
It's so chaotic and overstimulating that you can't even read the actual message on the sign anymore.
Wow, a blinding over-the-top neon spectacle. That definitely sounds like Vegas.
Right.
But how does that tie into inattention to results?
Think about it. The sign has become so focused on being flashy and attention-grabbing that it's lost sight of its original purpose, to welcome visitors to the city.
Right.
It's all style over substance, just like a team that gets so caught up in the process, the busy work, or the internal drama, that they forget to focus on achieving actual tangible outcomes.
I get it. It's a visual representation of a team that's lost sight of its goals, distracted by all the bells and whistles, instead of focusing on what truly matters. So are we adding any sensory details to this dazzling display?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Imagine hearing the buzz and crackle of all those neon lights.
Okay.
Feel the heat radiating off them, and maybe even smell a hint of ozone in the air.
Okay, I can feel the sensory overload already.
And
In attention to results, a blinding neon explosion at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign.
yeah.
I won't be forgetting that one anytime soon. So we've completed the first leg of our Las Vegas Memory Palace tour.
Right.
What's next?
Now I want you to take a moment to mentally walk back through our journey.
Okay.
Starting at the MGM Grand and ending at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign.
Okay.
Revisit each location.
Okay.
Visualize the image we've created for each dysfunction.
Right.
And try to recall the key concept it represents.
Got it.
The more you practice retrieving these images, the more firmly they'll be embedded in your memory.
Okay, here we go. Starting at the MGM Grand, I see that melting poker chip representing the absence of trust. Then it's on to Resorts World, where those Elvis impersonators are frozen in fear at the base of the high roller, a symbol of the fear of conflict. Next, we're at the Stratosphere, where the insanity ride is stuck dangling over the edge, a powerful image of the lack of commitment. Then it's downtown to the Mob Museum, where a deserted poker game reminds us of the dangers of avoiding accountability. And finally, we end our tour at the dazzling Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, where the blinding neon spectacle represents the inattention to results.
Excellent. It sounds like you've created a solid foundation for your Las Vegas Memory Palace.
Okay.
And don't worry, we'll continue to reinforce these connections and add even more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm excited to see what other memory tricks we have in store. This is way more engaging than just reading the book. So until next time, sleep well and let those delta waves work their magic.
All right. Welcome back to Sleep Dive. We're continuing our journey through the 5 dysfunctions of a team and our vibrant Las Vegas Memory Palace.
It's great to be back. That last part really helped solidify the 5 dysfunctions in my mind. I can still picture those frozen Elvis impersonators. But now I'm curious to explore what Lencioni suggests we actually do about these dysfunctions.
That's a great question. Building a memory palace is just the first step.
Right.
Now we need to delve deeper into Lencioni's solutions.
Okay, so let's revisit our first stop, the MGM Grand. We left a giant poker chip melting on the pavement there, symbolizing the absence of trust. How do we rebuild that foundation of trust in a team?
Lencioni argues that vulnerability is the key. To build trust, we have to be willing to let our guard down, to be open about our weaknesses, mistakes, and even our fears.
So you're saying it's not about pretending to be perfect, but about being real with each other? I could see how that would be tough for some people, especially in a competitive work environment.
It's definitely a challenge, but it's essential for building genuine trust.
Why?
Remember those poker players we imagined at the MGM Grand? Instead of just throwing chips into the pot?
Imagine them revealing their cards to each other, showing their hands, so to speak. They're making themselves vulnerable, but in doing so, they're building a deeper level of trust.
That's a powerful image. By being vulnerable, we're essentially saying, I trust you enough to see me flaws and all.
Exactly.
And
it's not just about sharing weaknesses. It's also about being open about our strengths and successes. When we celebrate each other's wins, we foster a culture of trust and mutual support.
Okay, so vulnerability is key to overcoming the absence of trust. What about our next stop, Resorts World? How do we unfreeze those Elvis impersonators who are terrified of the high roller? How do we overcome the fear of conflict?
This is where it gets interesting. Lencioni argues that healthy conflict is actually essential for a high-performing team.
Oh.
But to get there,
Yeah.
you need that foundation of trust we just discussed.
Okay.
When team members trust each other,
Yeah.
they can engage in passionate debate without fear of personal attacks.
Yep.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether, but about shifting our mindset from seeing conflict as something negative to seeing it as an opportunity for growth. I've always been someone who tries to avoid conflict, but I can see how healthy debate could lead to better ideas and solutions.
Absolutely. Imagine those Elvis impersonators suddenly finding their voices.
Okay.
Each one belting out their opinions with Elvis-like passion.
Okay.
Instead of clinging to each other in fear,
Yeah.
they're engaging in a lively, energetic debate.
That's quite a shift from the image of them frozen in fear. It almost sounds like a rock and roll jam session.
Exactly. When we embrace healthy conflict, we open ourselves up to new perspectives, challenge assumptions, and ultimately come up with more innovative solutions.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all fits together. Trust leads to healthy conflict. What about our next stop, the Stratosphere Tower? We left a group of people stuck on that malfunctioning insanity ride, a symbol of the lack of commitment. How do we get that ride moving?
Lencioni emphasizes the importance of clarity and buy-in. Every team member needs to understand the goals, agree on the plan of action, and feel a sense of ownership over the decisions made.
So it's like making sure everyone is on board and ready to go before the ride even starts. I can definitely relate to that. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're being dragged along on a project you don't believe in.
Exactly. Imagine that ride operator at the Stratosphere, clearly explaining the safety procedures, answering questions, and making sure everyone understands what to expect before the ride launches.
Right.
When people feel informed and empowered, they're more likely to commit fully to the experience.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So clear communication and a shared understanding of the goals are essential for overcoming the lack of commitment. What about our next stop? The Mob Museum. We left a deserted poker game there, symbolizing the avoidance of accountability. How do we bring those players back to the table and make them own up to their actions?
This one is crucial. Lencioni suggests establishing clear expectations and consequences. When team members know what's expected of them, and what will happen if they don't meet those expectations, they're more likely to hold themselves and each other accountable.
So it's not about being punitive, but about creating a framework for responsibility. It's like setting ground rules for the game so everyone knows what's at stake.
Precisely. Imagine a hidden camera in that Mob Museum poker room. Capturing every move those players made. Knowing they're being watched. Knowing there will be consequences for their actions. Might just make them think twice before walking away from their responsibilities.
That's a great image. It's like having that little voice in your head reminding you to stay on track, to do what you said you would do. Okay, so clear expectations and consequences are key to overcoming the avoidance of accountability. Now let's move on to our final stop, the dazzling "Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas" sign. We left it there as a symbol of the inattention to results. How do we refocus that blinding neon and get the team back on track?
Lencioni's solution here is to emphasize the importance of aligning goals and celebrating wins. When team members understand how their individual contributions tie into the overall success of the team, they're more likely to prioritize collective results over personal agendas.
So it's about making sure everyone is on the same page, working towards a shared vision, and recognizing progress along the way. It's like dimming those neon lights just enough to reveal the message on the sign, reminding everyone why they're there in the first place.
Exactly. And by celebrating wins, big or small, we create a sense of momentum and shared accomplishment, which can be incredibly motivating.
So aligning goals and celebrating wins are crucial for overcoming the inattention to results. This has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I'm not only memorizing these dysfunctions, but I'm also starting to understand how to address them in real-life situations.
That's great to hear. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We'll continue our exploration in the next part of our deep dive, where we'll connect these concepts to your own experiences and provide you with even more tools to build a high-performing team.
I'm looking forward to it. This is much more engaging and insightful than I ever imagined sleep learning could be. Until then, sleep well and let those delta waves do their magic. Welcome back to Sleep Dive. We've journeyed through the 5 dysfunctions of a team, building our Las Vegas memory palace and unpacking Lencioni's solutions.
And now it's time to bring it all home.
Okay.
To connect these concepts to your own life and experiences.
You know, it's funny, as we've been talking about these dysfunctions,
Yeah.
I've been having all these aha moments.
Right.
Thinking back to teams I've been on.
Yeah.
And realizing where things went wrong.
That's exactly what we want. The power of this model lies in its ability to help us recognize these patterns in our own lives.
Right.
So let's dive into that.
Okay.
Think about the teams you're a part of at work, in your community, even with your family and friends. Have you ever encountered any of these dysfunctions firsthand?
Oh, absolutely. Just the other day, I was in a meeting where we were brainstorming ideas for a new project.
Okay.
Everyone being super polite, agreeing with each other. But I could sense that some people were holding back.
All right.
We ended up going with a pretty safe, uninspired idea.
Yeah.
And I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd missed an opportunity.
That sounds like a classic case of fear of conflict.
Yeah.
The desire to maintain harmony
Right.
can stifle creative thinking and lead to mediocre results.
Right.
If those team members had felt comfortable voicing their concerns,
Yeah.
you might have landed on a more innovative solution.
It's so true. And I remember another time on a different project where we had clear deadlines, but people kept missing them with no consequences.
Right.
It created this sense of resentment, like some people were carrying more weight than others.
That's the danger of the avoidance of accountability when there's no system for holding each other accountable. It undermines trust and erodes the team's effectiveness.
Exactly. It's like that deserted poker game we envisioned at the Mom Museum.
Yeah.
No one wants to take responsibility, so the game just falls apart.
Right. So knowing what you know about these dysfunctions, how might you approach those situations differently?
Well, in that brainstorming meeting, I could have tried to create a safer space for people to share their ideas, even the crazy ones.
Okay.
Maybe start by acknowledging that it's okay to disagree, to challenge each other's thinking.
That's a great starting point. By explicitly encouraging dissent, you shift the team's mindset from avoiding conflict to embracing it as a valuable part of the process.
And in the case of the missed deadlines, I think it's important to have an open conversation about expectations and consequences right from the start.
Right.
Maybe create a system for tracking progress and addressing issues as they arise so it doesn't fester into resentment.
Exactly. By establishing clear guidelines and holding each other accountable in a supportive way, you can prevent those small issues from escalating into major dysfunctions.
This is really eye-opening. I'm realizing that these dysfunctions aren't just abstract concepts. They have a real impact on how teams function. And even small changes in my own behavior can make a difference.
That's the beauty of this model. It empowers us to become more aware of our own contributions to team dynamics and to make conscious choices that foster a more positive and productive environment.
It's like we've been handed a decoder ring for understanding team dynamics. Now we can see those patterns, those subtle cues that might have gone unnoticed before.
And the best part is this knowledge is contagious.
Whoa.
As you become more aware of these dysfunctions, you can help others on your team recognize them as well.
So it's not just about fixing problems. It's about empowering everyone to become better team players.
Precisely. Imagine a team where everyone understands the 5 dysfunctions and is actively working together to overcome them. That's a team poised for success.
It's like taking that dazzling neon from our Las Vegas memory palace and transforming it into a beacon of teamwork, guiding us toward shared goals and achievements.
And while this deep dive has focused on the 5 dysfunctions, building a high-performing team is an ongoing journey. It requires constant learning adaptation and a commitment to growth, both individually and collectively.
Well said. It's like tending a garden. You need to nurture those relationships. Weed out negative behaviors and create a fertile ground for trust and collaboration to flourish.
What a beautiful analogy. And remember, be patient with yourself and your team. Building a truly cohesive and effective team takes time and effort. There will be setbacks along the way. But with a shared understanding of these dysfunctions and a commitment to working through them, you can achieve extraordinary results.
This has been such an incredible journey. I feel empowered to take these insights and apply them to my own teams, and I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to do the same. So as we wrap up this episode, we want to leave you with a final thought-provoking question. What steps can you take today to build a stronger, more cohesive, and more effective team in your workplace, your community, or even within your own family?
Remember, even small actions can create a ripple effect leading to positive change. So start small, start now, and keep those delta waves flowing as you sleep on these insights. Until next time, happy teamwork.